Hello? Hi. And welcome back to live uh another live art stream. My name is Simon and I'm doing the 6th fan art challenge. And today we're working on we'll be starting the 5th entry, the Pokemon Coalossal from Pokemon Sword and Shield. But before I do so, I'm going to warm up, but also enough time has passed between the last recording that I've done some significant improvements on specifically my yellow diamond that I thought I'd go over some of the steps I did with her before moving on to the warm up and then moving on to Coalossal itself. So, as this is as I'm now starting the 5th character entry, Yellow Diamond was the very first one I did. Was the very first one I drew. And from where she was when I was drawing Rowan Atkinson, I guess. Let's see if I can get rid of the colors. Yeah, she looked a little like this. I did add a few lines and I thinned some stuff out. But as she was really bugging me to the point, to the extent that I had seriously considered erasing Yellow Diamond and starting all over. Not helped by the fact that I've already ruined parts of the background layer, which is the panels, as you can see with this white spot right above Yellow Diamond's one of Yellow Diamond's helmet points. All because I accidentally started drawing on the background layer instead of the layer that I wanted to draw. But ultimately, instead of just drawing over again, the advantage of getting to draw digitally is that I don't really have to worry about starting over. I can just move things around. I can cut and paste. I can thin out some of the stronger ink lines that were bugging me. So I think I started with the heavier shadow first. Well, I definitely went back and forth. But I decided, you know what? Similar to when I started working on Mr. Bean, and to a lesser extent XJ9, I found that if I put in some color first, that would ultimately help me later figuring out the outline for what I want to work on. So during the process of adding more shadow to Yellow Diamond, I just, okay, let's finally give her some color. And so once I did that, I was able to kind of cool off for a bit to go, okay, Yellow Diamond as she currently is working. I don't have to start all over. I'm still sort of back and forth about whether or not I'll have her raise an arm, but so far the progress I've made on Yellow Diamond is shaping up really well. I might want to clean up some of the outlines as well, but I imagine it would be forgiven of me to even let it go, to just say, you're done, move on to anyone else. Move on, finish the shading, coloring, finish XJ9, who's still kind of in this middle process, or begin the outline process of Mr. Bean. But something I really want, like I genuinely wanted to do. I don't see this a lot in the 6th fan art, the 6th fan art challenge. I really wanted to give Yellow Diamond a background. So in the panel right below her, I've been working on this observatory deck that she's been seen in an episode of Steven Universe. Specifically, this comes from the sequence where the audience first sees Yellow Diamond proper. Uh, it's also the first appearance of Yellow Pearl, and the episode is more infamous for Yellow Diamond's ridiculous, like, disgruntled face when Peridot calls her a clod. Uh, so the sequence that I wanted this observatory place because I vaguely remember diamonds and a sort of purple void that I knew would help make a yellow diamond pop. So I knew I wanted to add that. But there are asteroids, there are stars, there's a lot of detail that maybe I should have thought through before I made that decision. I've already progressed as much as I have, so I'm gonna do it. But for now, the reason why it's on this lower panel is I wanted to dedicate space to that panel, even though this panel is now going to be where I'm going to put Coalossal in. And for the record, for those interested, yeah, this window is made up of a bunch of different line layers that I've admittedly combined into two very distinct, the basic black line ones and the sort of paler white lines, and then the background color itself is a gradient made up of, I think, technically like 5 colors. I had to choose a dark blue, purple, whatever. I am excited for the direction this is going. My Yellow Diamond panel is in the progress of going to be amazing, but that does put a lot more precedent on every other character. I already knew that Metis, I was going to give her a gradient dark blue sort of velvet room, but not the velvet room. I didn't want to actually provide that many details other than glowing butterflies. XJ9, I'm probably just going to give her a cartoon skyline. Mr. Bean, I might get away with not giving him anything. But the same can't be said necessarily for Coalossal, and the character that I've currently chosen placeholder as my 6th character of the fan art, the 6th fan art challenge, but to be honest, no one gave me a 6th entry. I only got 5. So let's start working on the warm-up before I start really diving into Coalossal. When I was drawing Rowan Atkinson, aka Mr. Bean, I picked up a manga university costume collection full of models in various dress at different camera angles, which is just perfect for me to do a quick life drawing exercise. And I found doing the life drawing exercises to be probably more beneficial than I found it to be more beneficial than trying to draw fictional characters by memory, like Mega Man when I was drawing XJ9 and Sonic and Robotnik for the previous 2 times. Oh, let's change the opacity. Part of it, I think, was because I started adding details through the more uh, all these colored outlines, I guess. Like for Mr. Bean, I'll go back to Mr. Bean for a second. Mr. Bean doesn't have any black outlines like him, like the others yet. And usually by the time I end the stream, I do the outline first, and I have this black and white. I just have the line art. I don't have any colors on the character. For Mr. Bean, I felt it was necessary to figure out where some of the colors I wanted to go, such as like his 5 o'clock shadow. I didn't want to do the outline for that. I wanted to put in the color to get a sense of where it'd be. Granted, that might not be something I would outline anyway, but that's kind of the example I decided to make. That might have been a bad example. It's close to the thing that I'm trying to talk about that I'm not conveying very well, because I'm trying to talk and draw at the same time, which is kind of a nightmare. Obviously, I'll do it because, as I mentioned, I like the idea of these streams as video evidence that I'm doing something during the somewhat unproductive quarantine time. So this is kind of like my own little journal entry, but with some visuals. The visuals in this context being me drawing. And because I kind of consider myself to be a mid-tier artist, much to probably what some may... If you're someone who doesn't know how to draw, you might consider myself to be... You might consider me to be pretty good. But I don't do this professionally. I mostly just do this for fun. I'm also prone to repeating myself, so I've definitely had a variation of the... if you don't know how to draw, you can watch me and maybe get like a sense of how other more talented people draw. I try not to be too self-deprecating. I know that I'm good at drawing. I just don't really want to do it professionally because it involves a lot more labor than I would have been prepared for, but I don't know. Maybe if enough people watch these videos, like, here's the career you were never expecting, Simon. You're gonna draw for a living, digitally, and people are gonna watch you. That'll be somewhat unexpected. So, for this warm-up, yeah, I'm following this life drawing example. I have to hold the book in my left hand as I draw with my right, so it's a little painful at times. But I want to get this. I don't want to rush the warm-up because the warm-up is super important. But not only do I want to do at least one or two like life drawing examples, I want to move on to another warm-up before I even work on Coalossal. I want to draw another Pokemon. I want to draw Buzzwole before I get started on Coalossal. And the reason I want to draw Coalossal is because I want to prove a point to my brother, who is the one who requested Coalossal. Because I have a lot of beef with Coalossal as a request. Not even as a Pokemon. Not as, you know, a fire rock type. Why not just make Torkoal better, you monsters? It's nothing like that. But as a request, It's kind of monstrous. I think it's monstrous. It's kind of funny. It's mostly monstrous. But I can't even do the quick Buzzwall warm up until I feel a little more confident in my, warm up. Yeah, my hand's getting tired. Okay. And I lost my page, but I've sort of mentioned this before. What I like about drawing is that, especially digitally, is I draw so many lines, probably too many lines next to other artists, that I'm able to see the final art, the final piece that I might otherwise not have like noticed through all these lines. It's sort of like piecing a puzzle, but instead of having a a set goal, you can make the puzzle look like whatever you want. Now, like, admittedly, that's true of regular puzzles. You actually could make it look however you want, but, the pieces usually have to fit and have to go somewhere. Here, like, when I'm drawing, I might change the expression, I might change the eyes a bit. What I thought would the direction of the drawing I thought I was going to do might irrevocably change. I hope I said irrevocably correctly. Something that hasn't really come up because most of the characters that I've drawn um, don't have hair. I'm not super confident in my ability to draw hair, or frankly, fold, uh, clothing folds, or uh, well, or shading. But I do like my faces. I often get too distracted by a character's face that I don't make enough time to go back to work on the body, which is just kind of, it's there. You have to do it. Gotta eat your vegetables. You gotta draw the body. You need that face to be attached to something. So why not make it that? Okay. All right. Obviously more I could do. Let's quickly move on to one more warm up, and then I'll try to do Buzzwall. trying to go through the book to see if I can find a decent... Alright, let's... I never got confirmation if my mouse is invisible. I probably should just watch my own streams afterwards, but man, I go for over an hour and a half to 2 hours. I ain't got time for that. Let's... okay. Gotta hurry this up. I mean, I got nowhere to go, but evidently, one thing I've learned about trying to do these streams that's sort of starting to, I'm now kind of feeling the after effects of, is you need a lot of, I don't know about vocal training, but vocal muscle awareness. Perhaps if I did vocal exercises, but because I live at home with family, I do get nervous. I don't know, based on like the clarity of my voice, if it ever comes across like, oh, that poor man, he's so nervous. He's so nervous to be doing a live stream. Like, he's so quiet all the time. That poor man. Poor baby man. And at some point I got, okay, all right, you called me a baby man enough times. I'm still, I'm fairly new to streaming still, which does result, I think, in, I mean, okay, part of the reason why I'll just go silent, obviously, is because I'm concentrating. Also, in case no one knows, but it seems like a fair thing to bring up, I do not have a nice screened tablet thingy. I'm using a stylus on like a touch pad, but the actual image is showing up on a TV monitor, which means, as far as like drawing is concerned, there is a bit of a dissonance between what my pencil is touching and I don't know, I guess it's sort of like drawing. It feels like I'm a little blind, because when you draw or write, typically it's on paper, and there's contact. There is a degree of of course I'd make that shape after I put this lead on this paper. That's what's supposed to happen. But there's this dissonance that's being made through this somewhat. I think most streamers, most art streamers, probably aren't necessarily using this method. They have even basic tablets that help them. And I'm not necessarily bringing this up to be begrudging about it, to begrudge them. I bring it up more as a. Oh, also because I'm not super that familiar with Photoshop. It's the best thing I have to just quickly get these drawings done. If anyone's watching this, like, well, why? Hi, I've seen people who do art streams all the time, and why didn't you do this? Like, maybe some kind of either uh, common option for people who draw for a living. Online, I see this all the time. Why aren't you doing this? Or some degree. If it looks like I'm doing something wrong, maybe I am doing something wrong. That's the long and short of it. This orange yellow is kind of a rough choice for drawing, well, characters, just because it's a little too white on the white backdrop. It kind of just fades away. I chose it because it complements the purple, but it might just be a bad choice. Might have been a bad choice altogether. Man, I have no idea. Part of the excitement about doing these streams is I have no idea how it's going to turn out. This is going to either become the worst stream I've done, best one. It's the first ones, basically. There's the process. Her legs are getting real thick. Yeah, you know what? Let's just move on to Buzzwall. Bam! Buzzwall. I'll probably need a new layer just to dedicate to Buzzwall. Let's get an appropriate orangey red. I'm gonna grab some water because I'm already getting a scratchy throat. I think I need to time out these recoveries a little better. But this is also probably why the YouTubers I watch tend to have one dedicated recording day and then disappear for like weeks on end, having recorded like 8 hours of footage. Meanwhile, I strain my voice just trying to talk for 2 hours and then I disappear. Well, okay, I can, if given enough time, I can definitely do it for longer, but only on one day. And I've been trying to do this maybe 3 times a week. I'm trying. I've definitely only succeeded 2 times a week so far. Anyway, Buzzwall. I've never drawn Buzzwall before, but I wanted to give him a shot. And here's why I wanted to draw Buzzwall. because Buzzwole is one of two Pokemon that I can think of that my brother, who requested Coalossal, really likes, possibly even in a mimetic way, but and I suppose to an extent, I was really hoping if I was going to be requested a bizarre Pokemon. Okay, all right. Further backstory, just because I gotta set this up. So, uh, huge Pokemon fan. My brother is a huge Pokemon fan. I am an average Pokemon fan. I get every game that comes out. I usually play up till the Elite Four, and except for maybe picking up the post-game Legendary, I tend to just drop the game afterwards. It has to be like a particularly special game for me to continue to play for hours. Particularly if there's an achievable means for me to pick up shiny Pokemon, and then okay, you've got me. I want to play this. I want to get a shiny Phantom, that kind of thing. Uh, so my list of favorite Pokemon games are relatively pretty limited. I like Sun and Moon, but not Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Uh, but that one's for story reasons. I enjoyed the story of Sun and Moon, and I did not enjoy the story of Ultra Sun and Moon for its small changes. Anyway, my brother, huge Pokemon fan, uh, plays the game competitively. He plays it casually. He plays it. I think it's safe for me to describe it as fairly religiously. Uh, that might be like a relatively safe. Anyway, um, his absolute favorite Pokemon is Kecleon. But he has a couple of other Pokemon that he likes that I would consider to be more on the meme front. Like, oh, I'm sure he genuinely likes them. But I also kind of think he likes them because it's funny. He perceives the Pokemon as being kind of like mimetic in a way. Whoops. There we go. And so, when I was making requests for the 6 fan art challenge, um, I don't have a lot of Facebook. I don't have a lot of Twitter followers. Uh, for the record, that's Simon underscore offline. So when I made the request, and even then at the time, I was like, maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Uh, I only got five. I only got 5 out of 6 requests anyway because of my relatively slow, like, not slow, small existence, I suppose, in the internet sphere. But my brother followed me, and my brother requested. Uh, so, all right, yet additional backdrop before I can even talk about Coalossal, which is just as well because I'm drawing Buzzwole right now. So, uh, part of the reason I did the 6 fan art challenge, other than the fact that, hey, I can draw, and also I was watching all these other entries that were just amazing, great. The 6 fan art challenge looked a lot of fun. One of my friends, who is who's working on his own webcomic, it's his dream project, uh, and could use varying degrees of support. Uh, he does the fan art challenge, hoping to, get commissions. Not that anyone pays for these requests, but to get exposure. This is a great way for exposure without necessarily asking for commission rates. Um, so my friend asked to send requests, and I gave him two, only expecting him to do one. But my philosophy, the my approach was, okay, let's have him draw a character that I do want to see his version of, but also a character that I know he'll like to draw. Like, he's gonna have fun with this. So I chose Poison Ivy from the new Harley Quinn show, and Opal from Steven Universe. He chose Poison Ivy, which is fine, and is Poison Ivy the final product of my Harley Quinn, my Poison Ivy request. It looks great, great. But one of his requests was from my brother, and he asked for Coalossal, the Pokemon I'm going to be drawing later today. And I didn't send my friend a message. I didn't send a message to my brother about it. But I can sort of tell, based on my reaction, my sort of public reaction to also receiving Coalossal as a request from me, it's not. Boy, Coalossal is not a fun Pokemon. He is not a fun. I've, like, to be fair, I've never drawn Coalossal, never drawn him. So what do I know? Well, okay. I don't regularly draw robots or cars or whatever. But there are some things you have to, if your job is, if you're an artist and it's your job, I know for a fact that there are some things that are just not fun to draw, but you gotta draw them. You gotta eat the lettuce, you gotta have your vegetables. And here's the reason why Buzzwall is, and I've never drawn Buzzwall, but Buzzwall I know right away is super fun. It's super fun to draw. And the reason that Buzzwall is super fun to draw is that he's entirely made up of circles. Circles are super easy. And even if I don't, like, properly ink this, you can already, like, see the visage that is Buzzwall. Like, oh, yep, that's definitely Buzzwall. That is what Buzzwall is supposed to look like. And why was I able to draw him, other than, following these guides, these samples? It's because Buzzwall is just made up of, he's made up of a bunch of balloons, basically. So anyway, my friend draws Coalossal, and his approach to Coalossal is very much a smart compromise. He basically draws a clay volcano with a sort of clay Muppet turtle mouth, which is kind of what Coalossal is, but it's a much smoother approach, but it conveys this is the request. This is Coalossal. I drew Coalossal. Never asked me to draw Coalossal again. So when I finally decided, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try the 6 fan art challenge. I knew that my brother, in part to support me, but also as part of his weird game about trying to memify Coalossal, that he was he was gonna recommend one of three Pokemon. I knew it was gonna be one of three Pokemon. It was gonna be Kecleon, his favorite, Buzzwole for being probably the Coalossal of Sun and Moon, but who's immediately way more fun to draw because he's just made up circles. Or he's going to request Coalossal again. He already has a Coalossal. He already had a Coalossal request made for him, and what, one's not good enough? Not only that, like, now, regardless of the quality, and probably doesn't see it like that because, you know, more Colossals for him, I guess. But now I have my own approach. I have to be constantly aware that my friend did Coalossal a certain way. I definitely can't do it that way. I have to come up with my own way. And it's easier to come up with your own way if, you know, you have some degree of excitement for the character. Like, okay, what I like about the 6 fan art challenge is the idea that, I mean, okay, it's somewhat, I suppose, a little defeatist, I guess, to only work on characters you genuinely want to draw. But it's also a little rewarding if your friends have a sense of who you are and there's like, I want to see you try to draw this. And those characters happen to be, you know what? Yeah, I would like to draw that. That'd be a lot of fun to draw. But Coalossal, okay. Anyway, this Buzzwole is looking pretty good. Like, right now, I'm gonna just focus on darkening some of the outlines. Obviously, can't focus. If I were seriously going to draw Buzzwole, I would definitely I would add like a better outline, and this wouldn't be the final Buzzwole I'd want anyway. Here's immediately, I'll explain my problems with Coalossal in a bit, but here's why Buzzwole is great. So Buzzwole doesn't have a face, and that's a little disappointing because faces are really good for, you know, creating a unique expression if you need to convey something with the character. But Buzzwole not only has these massive arms, which are purely, ridiculously, hilariously huge. It's not just that he has these these arms. It's that these arms are so long that you can actually, and they're so long and they're so humanoid that you can kind of get away with just having him express through these arms. You know, Buzzwole is already kind of funny to look at. How about a Buzzwole making like shadow puppets? He has perfectly atomical hands to just do stuff like that. That'd be funny. Having Buzzwole hold a coffee cup, a coffee mug. It says best dad ever. Something like that, or best mosquito, or whatever. That's funny. There are funny visual. Buzzwole wearing an office tie, in a cubicle. Buzzwole is an inherently funny Pokemon, I think. Now, okay, admittedly, the friend who had to draw Coalossal, and we're both kind of on the, oh man, Coalossal, ugh. I don't think he's a huge fan of Buzzwall because he's not a huge fan of the concept of the Ultra Beasts, and that's fair. That's totally fair. I like the Ultra Beasts. Uh, I don't know if this is like a similar opinion uh, that I might have with others, uh, but with Ultra Beasts, I like Ultra Beasts so long as you can't catch them. I like the idea of these Eldritch abominations that wreak havoc in the Pokemon world, but they're not Pokemon. You don't just catch them. They exist, but it's not like you can breed them. It's not like any of the quote-unquote rules of the Pokemon world conveys to them. Because they're not Pokemon. And what I've always wanted in a Pokemon RPG, and I have to like emphasize that, what I want in a Pokemon RPG is I want a big ol' final boss like Eldritch Abomination. And for what it's worth, we've gotten pretty close over the years. In Sun and Moon, we had Luzanine? Luzmanine? It's been a while. The leader of the team that's not Team Skull, like the Aether Foundation. She gets to be fused into this giant jellyfish Ultra Beast and becomes this horrifying, like Akira Tetsuo monster. But then she throws out Pokeballs and it's just a regular Pokemon battle. Oh. Well, that sucks. That's disappointing. I kind of wanted to fight the giant jellyfish that had a human hostage slash like symbiotic relationship. Like, there's an episode of Pokemon way back, first generation, because of course I'm in the age group where I was the target audience then, and Pokemon now is not necessarily for me. But when it was kind of for me, there's an episode where tentacruels have completely flooded this city. It was briefly it was briefly a canceled episode after 9/11. Um, where tentacruels and tentacles appear to have the ability to mind control Meowth and speak through him. Um, it's this horrifying, like sort of Starro invasion. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of want to see more stuff like that in a Pokemon game. I want to fight monsters that aren't supposed to be your friends. They can't be your friends. There's no Pokeball to make them your friends. They are there to cause harm, to cause damage. You know, it's already disappointing that Tentacruel in the Pokemon game aren't supposed to be skyscrapers tall. But, you know, why not have us fight skyscraper tall Tentacruels in the game? Why don't we have more Ghost Marowak fights? That's a perfect example of the kind of things that the kind of ideas that I like. Granted, I'd want Ghost Marowak to have like an aesthetic look to it that isn't just the Alolan Marowak, which I appreciate the lore of that, the addition of that. What am I doing here? I kind of like if I left this drawing as is, it kind of looks like uh you don't speak the the line art of Buzzwole right now looks like he's the father to the actual sample drawing that I picked up. So the big one looks like, "Don't you talk to me or my son ever again." But yeah, Buzzwole is completely made up of circles. That's why Buzzwole is a really fun Pokemon to potentially draw. So this is sort of the point I wanted to make before I begrudgingly start working on Coalossal. This Buzzwole is really rocking. But yeah, I knew he would because Buzzwole is fun. I I really need to let this go. I need to move on, but I'm kind of having fun with because I know what's coming up next. Uh, uh okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to Coalossal. One more look. Okay. Alright, first things first, I gotta get rid of my background down here. I'll get back to it in the future, but for now it's Buzzwole time. That's where Buzzwole goes. Okay, so as an immediate contrast to Buzzwole, like, oh my god, an immediate contrast. He's so craggly. He's so uh I don't know. I don't know about. Now, admittedly, when I got the request for Coalossal, there were a couple. It's been a while since I picked up my Sword and Shield game. Um, I had forgotten some aspects of Coalossal, but for one, I thought that Coalossal had no shoulders. I thought he had like tiny T-Rex arms. Second to that, I also thought that his arms, well, with the reduction of having no shoulders and having T-Rex arms, I also thought he didn't really have a chest, let alone these sort of like a chest and ab situation, but it's like he has pecs, but he also has tummy pecs that aren't abs. I don't know. Here's the thing about Coalossal. As far as I can like try to convey, um, let's get rid of. No, not that. I want to get rid of more of this. So, so it's my brother who requested Coalossal, and the thing is, even though I've stated some of the potential other Pokemon he could have recommended, Coalossal is immediately, by contrast to all the other requests. First of all, it would. It's because I know he's tried to sort of memify Coalossal that he has a vested interest in more Coalossal content. Give me more of that good old. I've subscribed to Coalossal and I demand Coalossal. But Coalossal's kind of a massive potato with not googly eyes, but like the anime equivalent of googly eyes. He's not exactly a turtle. He's just kind of a mess. I think I'd best describe Coalossal as a kind of background Pokemon, someone you would draw to. He's a Pokemon that you draw to show off not the Pokemon, but like your OC Pokemon trainer. Hi, I'm Ash, but not that kind of Ash. I'm a fire trainer. I train fire Pokemon. That's why it's Ash. Uh, and my best Pokemon is Coalossal, and it's right behind me. But the drawing is clearly about the OC Pokemon trainer. If you're drawing Metagross I think is the closest example, comparative example that I'd give to Coalossal, in so much as Metagross is a really intimidating, cool Pokemon, and it makes the Steven drawing look even cooler. But I don't know, Metagross is so relatively stiff. He doesn't have a lot of options for expression. You can do stuff with him. You can make a comic with him, but you're really setting yourself up to fall. Like I'm already like, what's going on? What's going on with this? He basically doesn't have a neck. He's just like this hunched turtle, not a turtle. How much? I had to figure out how much space do I dedicate to this Pokemon. How do I do what my friend did and basically just make a volcanic mountain, which is just his head and the coals on his back? You have to show the coals on his back. That's kind of like his defining. Like if you're drawing Charizard, you gotta have the exposed flame tail somewhere. I mean, you, it. I mean, he's got a tail, so at least it's versatile enough to just sort of appear. But look at this. He has to take up so much space just so I can have enough room for his cone head that I have to give him. And like if I'm so inclined, he has to overlap basically every nearby request. So I'm not just drawing Coalossal. I have to figure out who's Coalossal going to who's Coalossal going to ruin. Is he going to ruin Metis, or is he going to ruin XJ9 or Yellow Diamond? And so far, I've elected to have him kind of ruin Yellow Diamond. Like he's he's a lot. I just I really want to tear Coalossal a new one. And again, nothing to do with like, oh man, he's a fire rock type. What are you talking about? Like, no, it's nothing like that. It is purely what what a frustrating request. He's got like a beak going on. He's weirdly cute. Like, okay, I'll say this. Uh, he very much is the new Golem in that he looks nothing like the previous two forms it came from, and is also weirdly cute. Um, but man, oh my god, this is turning into a duck already. Like, if I feel like I'm messing up and I need more space, I'll have to increase the size of the bust further, which gives me less room to have a compelling, funny pose Coalossal. There's there's there is no winning Coalossal. But somewhat similarly to there was a recent episode of Rick and Morty, the Vat of Acid episode, where after a discussion about like the legitimacy of the fake of acid plan, uh, Morty thinks it's super dumb. Rick says thinks it's super good, and there's this discussion that erupts, somewhat pun accidental. Rick says there's no such thing as a bad idea, it's just execution. Yeah, well, except for all my plans. What are you talking? Except for all my ideas, they're all stupid, right? What are you talking about? You never show any interest in my ideas. What if you could do my what build my uh video save point video game device, and Rick doesn't really want to do it because he thinks it's stupid, which opens him up for Morty to be like, aha, you can't do it, I can do anything, this is just stupid. Well, you're saying that because you can't do it. No, what? And it eventually erupts into a ah! Throws his desk aside, and then he starts building. He starts torching something. He's like, "Yes, I'm gonna do it," just to prove that he can. And so, yes, I'm going to draw a Coalossal to prove that I can draw a Coalossal, but there's just an immediate obvious hurdle as to why Coalossal is such a monster to draw. And he's not as fun as Buzzwall. Buzzwall is just the bomb. This guy is, I don't know, I'm kind of even posing him like it's just an awkward 3/4 profile high school yearbook. Math class, most likely to not become a car. Coalossal. There's no room, even if I wanted to, hey, here comes Coalossal, and he's got his arms, and he's showing a peace sign or something. What? No, he's too awkwardly wide that he doesn't get any hands. His hands basically have to be off screen. And it's like, okay, all right, well, at least he has this one, kind of cool shoulder pad that, juts out. Well, okay, if I genuinely draw it, it's going to go way over Mr. Bean. His very existence is ruining other panels. This is so frustrating. And I knew I wanted to dedicate time to vent about Coalossal. Just not as a Pokemon, not as a design, but strictly as, look at this monster that I have to make. Look at what I have to do just to make him kind of cool, kind of in the ballpark of the request. Like, draw Coalossal. He's too awkwardly wide for a panel unless I monstrously shrink him down. But you know what? Since I don't have a background planned for Mr. Bean, it's almost okay that he can just mess up Mr. Bean. And I can finally have a hand show up. Like, he's taking over most of Mr. Bean's nameplate. This guy... Coalossal's just so... He's the worst. The worst possible... What a monster. Okay, let's take a look at... And he hunches over, which is fine. It just means he doesn't really have a neck, so he can't... I tried to look up, like, fan art to get a sense of... How are people drawing Coalossal? You know, how is Coalossal enriching their lives? In part to get a sense of like more dimensions without opening up the game, but also I wanted to like get a sense of I wanted to get a feel for the love. Like, oh man, Coalossal's my favorite Pokemon, so I drew him like this. I think it really captures his so-and-so, and I'd be like, and I'd find some sort of like empathic key to be like, oh, that's what I can do with Coalossal. I can, you know, do this. And the closest I could think of is his kind of cool glowing mouth when it's open, but you kind of have to get a perfect angle for that, and honestly, my friend already did that angle. I just... Maybe I can have his mouth open and, like, drool lava or something. It'd be funny, and it would also convey... Well, it'd convey how much I don't like drawing him, but... It would at least give me the opportunity to draw the glowing mouth. Like, when you're drawing a character request, whatever, there's like... I want there to be a favorite part about this character that I'm drawing. So, I never drew Yellow Diamond. Got Yellow Diamonds or... no, alright. A different example. Metis. Never drew Metis. Never drew a Persona 3 character. Never drew Aegis. I knew that I was going to do the butterfly visor. It was going to be on the... And that was going to be my favorite part. And it was my favorite part. So excited. So excited. If there is a part to Coalossal that might be my quote-unquote favorite, it would probably be the exposed glowing mouth. But... I have to... I had to figure out this pose way earlier. I couldn't just make it up as I went. And Coalossal might be my first failed stream drawing. In so much as... Okay, it takes one entire stream to figure out what a character kind of looks like. The black and white of what a character kind of looks like. But even if I don't have color, it is unmistakably that character. You know, my light blue, red sort of butterfly monarch visor Metis, that was definitely going to be Metis. You can tell that was Metis. Here, oh man, This sucks. Because I can't... I keep mentioning that... Uh, you know, you draw enough lines and you can see the puzzle, you can see the drawing that you're trying to make in there. You just have to you just have to follow that line further, maybe emphasize it, and you can maybe start to build the the figure you're trying to create. But Coalossal is also made up of so many straight lines that it's hard to get like a leg in, I guess. Like to get a sense of, there it is, there's the puzzle piece. There's Coalossal, there's the final Coalossal. Just follow this, follow the maze, follow the line, and you're gonna have the drawing that you've been struggling with. You can see it, you can taste the Coalossal you're trying to build. And I don't know how much time I've dedicated to this Coalossal. I'm not feeling it. I am not feeling like, there he is. There's Coalossal. There's my guy. Oh man, it took forever, buddy, but at least you're there now. At least we have like like just Jesus. Like he looks like he's got like a hockey mask on or something. I know he kind of has a duck bill, but I don't want him to look like a mighty duck. He's got to look more like Gamera. He's got to look like a turtle. Legit, I kind of hope me complaining about Coalossal is... I want it to be entertaining. But this is genuinely frustrating. Like, of all the requests that I got, and it's not just the, hey, hey big brother, could you draw Coalossal? He's my favorite. You know, it's not a situation. My younger brother is in his 30s. This isn't a, I want you to draw me a fire truck. Oh, well, you always ask me to draw a fire truck. Yeah, but I like fire trucks. Okay. No, this is, wouldn't it be funny if you drew Coalossal? I really like Coalossal, but it'd also be funny if you drew Coalossal. You should draw Coalossal. You know, like, legitimately, draw Coalossal. It'll be funny, and also, I like Coalossal. And this is just... he's such a monster. Like, okay, would I... Is there, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what's an equivalent Coalossal that I wouldn't want to draw. I don't think I'd want to draw Metagross, even though I do like Metagross. You know, given the option between the Beldum Metagross line, Metane, I can already picture in my head giving Metane some degree of, like, personality. I think it's because of his nose. He has a very funny nose. Metagross has a... Yeah, all right. Metagross does have a weird mouth, but I don't know. I like the nose of Metane. I think Metane's just funnier. Is a funnier Pokemon. And like I said, Metagross is a better like background drawing. Like if you're drawing Steven, Metagross is a really cool background for a Steven drawing. But man, Coalossal. Like maybe I can give him like these was gonna call them like Shredder eyes, but I mean like a glint of evil, sadistic eyes. Uh, and his mask ends up kind of looking like a serial killer grin, but man, this is really bugging me. And I hope, I kind of hope that everyone gets this. Everyone gets like, oh no, come on, you can draw any Pokemon. He's like, oh, Coalossal. Oh, yeah. All right, I guess that one's a nightmare. Like my version, it's almost skeletal looking, which is fine. Like that's skeletal would be my jam, but does I guess he has kind of like a buck tooth mask going on, but he doesn't have any lower teeth. I guess he just has no lower jaw. Like I mean, he has a jaw. He clearly has a jaw right there. But I mean, when his mouth is closed, I'll look at this other example. Could go any slower. Yeah, when his mouth is closed, his lower jaw basically perfectly fits into. But you kind of want an open mouth Coalossal because that's where the furnace is burning. I could have it glow a little, but this is just... Maybe I can... Oh, you know what? He kind of has nice round eyes. What am I doing with Coalossal? Alright, what does, like, the back of his head look like? Because he has this sort of duck bill slash, like, sonic mouthpiece. And then from that, he has this jettison V thing that pops into basically the back of his skull. Like I could sort of finagle seeing, like, not that I'm an expert at drawing armor, but if I kind of emphasized on making Coalossal look more like a suit of armor, maybe I could get away with that. Like, okay, I saw in the comments about Megatron, which is either a joke about my yellow diamond or is a joke about Coalossal. But a perfect segue to talk about Transformers. Let's say I was requested to draw a Transformer. Now, similar to Coalossal, there's a lot of like jaggy lines. But in the defense of the Transformers, they all have pretty clear humanoid proportions and posture. They don't uh, they don't hunch forward like Coalossal does. They all like stand up straight and have very clear, let's say, circle head with a helmet, box chest, box abs, pelvis. Uh, it's very clear. It's clear to my mind what you do with a transformer, but still, you're drawing robots. and that's and like if you're drawing a robot, you wouldn't be drawing their vehicle mode unless you're drawing a comic or animation. But if you're why would you waste time, you know, drawing the vehicle when you could be drawing the humanoid part, which would be quote unquote similar, since honestly the Transformers, it doesn't really matter how much they look like their vehicle counterpart. But okay. Let's say I was commissioned to draw Starscream. Starscream would be a little tough. He basically has a human head, so and I get distracted by faces easily, so that would be fun. Genuinely, that'd be fun. But I also really like Starscream. It would be a very funny request, and I'd go, okay, all right. This is gonna take a lot of work, but yeah, I'll draw Starscream. I might like if I got like a request, draw Starscream from the Michael Bay films. I'd be like, all right, compromise. It's gonna be the original. Uh, it's gonna be the '80s cartoon Starscream, or maybe Transformers animated Starscream, which is also has a very streamlined, simple design that would make it easier to draw that one. Man, Coalossal. And this is just the first layer. I mean, okay, part of this I think is because of working on Mr. Bean. I got a lot more confident in just doing the darker lines on the same layer as the lighter ones, but uh, admittedly I might have like kind of blown it because I should be going on to other layers in case I need to start making plans for messing up for when I need to erase. There's a reason you don't just draw on the same layer. If you did that, but you made a mistake, but one that could otherwise be avoided if they were on separate layers, you could erase. But I mean, okay, I'm not gonna blame the layer thing on Coalossal. This time it's on me. This time it's on me. But man, Coalossal. Okay. If I like kind of decide that Coalossal, such as he is going very, not 3/4, but I don't know, his head is very turned, his body is very turned towards the left. I can maybe foreshorten one shoulder, but then I'd have to make the other shoulder jut even further to Mr. Bean. Man, this is just let's get a bird's eye view on Coalossal. The mouth is still throwing me off, and I think it's just because he doesn't have teeth on his lower jaw. But I keep picturing my head. There's his lower teeth. Okay, I'm doing it. I see Coalossal. I see him. But no, this isn't quite there yet. It definitely helps that I have these 3D samples as well to get a sense of what his skull is supposed to look like. think I have to make his head taller. Yeah, yeah, that was it. That's what I was partly missing. But then everything else has to stretch out farther. He's got a crocodile thing going on, which is fine. That's getting closer to the sort of reptilian rock monster he is. Like, I will say amusingly, while I was working on Coalossal, no, while I was looking up uh, professional art of Coalossal, but also like, let me think. I was looking up fan art of Coalossal to get a sense of where the heart is for Coalossal fan art. Uh, and what I found super amusingly is I found redesigns of Coalossal. People had gone out of their way because like the two previous forms have some wheel incorporated into them. So like Roggenrola. Oh no, that might be a different rock Pokemon. He's basically just a bunch of coal onto a unicycle. The evolved form is called Coal, and he looks like a minecart, but also has this ridiculously stupid face. And then the final form is a Godzilla turtle monster. And like I said, similarly to the Pokemon Golem, looks nothing like Graveler and Geodude, but Golem's kind of cute, so alright. You know, for Golem, no harm, no foul. And Golem's a lot easier to draw. I've never drawn Golem. He's a softball and also a turtle. Done. Super done. But... oh, shoot. This is why you're not supposed to do the... yeah, alright. I gotta move... I gotta start moving my sample Coalossal because it's part of the same layer as my drawing Coalossal, and that's not good. This is why I needed to move layers a long time ago. Anyway, there's fan art of Coalossal as either a locomotive train, which was probably the best one. I can't remember what the other one was, but they were all vehicles. Which is like, oh yeah. But that's what like that's what stood out to me about the Coalossal fan art is that there were people compelled to draw. Okay. So, right now I'm going to kind of risk Mr. Bean. I'm going to pretend Mr. Bean isn't there. And I'm going to move his arm further. Yeah. That's what I gotta do. I gotta move his arm even further into someone else's panel. Coalossal. He was so cramped in the one panel. And of course he was. Coalossal is unnecessarily wide. Yeah, this really works. And I hate that this works. I guess the good news is I don't have to worry about giving Mr. Bean a background if Coalossal is just going to totally overlap him. I could... There's still time later. I can have Coalossal move over to the furthest right. And then it'll just be the corner of the page that cuts off Coalossal's shoulder. But I might not... Oh, man, Coalossal's so frustrating. Because, and I said this, I knew he was going to overlap someone. I thought he was going to overlap someone vertically. I thought, like, he was going to ruin Yellow Diamond or, well, anyone on the top. Anyone at the top. It didn't matter. At least he's, like, he's getting there, I guess. And, like, okay. A question for either my brother or for people who genuinely like Coalossal would be, do they understand now why it's a frustrating request under the 6 fan art challenge parameters? Cause look at this. Look at and look, because okay, actually, I was about to say because I had to move Coalossal's arm even further into Mr. Bean's space, that I'd have to move his hand further into Mr. Bean's space. But that maybe I won't have to. It looks like I might be safe on that front. This is such a mess. And I really now want to, and again, just because of how massive Coalossal is, like, okay, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I don't have the imagination to properly, like, figure this out. Like, this is my fault. Like, you can fit any drawing into any panel. Maybe. But I feel like I'm not wrong about this. It feels like... No, it's not just you. Coalossal is a monster to just map out in one's head to fit in even a comic book panel. I mean, like, in a comic book panel, you wouldn't have, like, all of Coalossal in the frame. If you made him a literal giant, his feet would probably be hidden by the forest because it's a super far off wide shot. And I know Coalossal probably isn't that big, but another aside, why wouldn't he be that big? He should be that big. Giant Pokemon are awesome. You know, Onix isn't my favorite Pokemon, but he's definitely one of the Pokemon I keep citing as an example of we should have more giant Pokemon because in the anime, Onix is amazing. Just the logistics. And you know what? Let's use Onix's example. What if Onix was my request? It's like, oh, Simon, where's the room? Well, what? How would you draw the massive Pokemon Onix? Well, the only thing that really matters about Onix is getting the head right, and then you can draw enough of the circle snake body to convey you're drawing Onyx. You don't have to draw the whole thing. But Onyx isn't that complicated. Like, he's a rock, so there's going to be a lot of, like, edges to him, but now I feel bad for the Mr. Bean request. Like, like, like my brother had to recommend request Coalossal, and that ruins another person's request that might have been that also admittedly could have been like a meme, like haha, really funny. Let's get this stranger on Twitter I don't know anything about. Let's get them to draw Mr. Bean. How hilarious is that? And meanwhile, and hopefully I've done Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, I've done him justice. But now, Coalossal had to ruin someone. And just luck of the draw, I guess, he had to ruin Mr. Bean. And I definitely wasn't expecting him to ruin someone horizontally. I thought Coalossal was going to ruin someone vertically. But I didn't really study Coalossal in advance of this stream. I just, okay, well, let's grab some photos, and I know I'm going to complain about Coalossal. I've been like hinting about it this whole time. Jeez. I probably need to start on the next layer because I've drawn too much on one layer, which has already caused problems in the form of needing to move Coalossal, erase my Coalossal samples. This is so... And this is because of the meme nature of Coalossal. This is why I wanted to draw a Buzzwall in the warm-up. Because I knew Buzzwall would be so much more fun, so much easier to draw. And he doesn't have a face, he doesn't have eyes, he doesn't really have room to express outside of his guns. But Coalossal, he's so massively wide. Okay. New layer. Theoretically, I could move on to like a darker, like the black outline, but I need a color darker than this orange. And there's still some things that this light outline hasn't like super conveyed to me. I'm not even worried about... I hope that the viewers know I'm drawing Coalossal just based on it alone. That's not really what I'm worried about right now. I'm just thinking about my own, like, I need to be able to tell that this is Coalossal. And okay, maybe this will help. So this will also kind of be like a rough outline, but one that will help me further to figure out what Coalossal needs. Like, what does Colossal have? What does Colossal have that I don't? No, 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 no. Just I'll say this about Coalossal. Uh, Not specifically a comment on the Roggenrola Carcoal line. Um, Coalossal does look like the final evolution of a starter Pokemon. Um, he kind of looks like a fiery Blastoise. And I would have been perfectly fine with that. I'm not really a huge fan of the thinner, smaller, very like fragile looking starters like um like Infernape, but Infernape's great. But I do mostly I mean the Sword and Shield starter final forms. Uh, the starters are fine. I love their first forms, but I like the idea of growing giants. Uh, okay. Like, I don't think I would go as far as to say that Coalossal is a terribly designed Pokemon. He might be a misplaced designed Pokemon, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'm not gonna get any, like, glow coming out of Coalossal at this rate. I would need to actively open his mouth. Maybe. That might work. It does make him bring out his cuteness to a degree. Uh I might leave. Okay, I'm gonna draw some kind of line as a reminder that let's try to give him an open mouth, but I don't know. I might be better off mostly ignoring it. Gotta take a lot of liberties. Alright, let's step back so I can... Like, I don't know if this sounds unnecessarily mean, but... And it's not necessarily through intention, but just practicality. Coalossal is kind of becoming a very selfish request. But again, okay, maybe it's on me. Maybe I should have thought about where I was going to place Coalossal first. Maybe even drawn Coalossal first. Although I definitely would not have done that because I definitely needed Colossal's kind of like a final boss of art requests. I needed to practice other characters first just to get a sense of, okay, I think I got this. Uh, and then, you start and then realize that Colossal was far more than you could handle. But for what it's worth, it kind of is starting to look like I'm getting somewhere. Like, he almost looks like some kind of armored turtle design that is good and fun. But this was definitely not. Venting about Coalossal is fun. I'll say that. But trying to map him out, trying to find a place for him, struggling with like the reality of what Coalossal has, you know, the cost of Coalossal. What has, you know, I was able to draw Coalossal fairly decently, but what did it cost? And for the most part, it cost Rowan Atkinson. It cost Mr. Bean. And that was a sacrifice I didn't plan on making. Uh, you know, I'm I think it's just because, you know, lizard lizard somehow equals dinosaur, duck bill, raptor bill, whatever. I just finished watching a video that was a retrospective of the Land Before Time movies, and I'm getting a Land Before Time character vibe. It's weird. One, There's a fourth, like, larger mouth guard. I might have messed up some of the placements of the... I'm gonna have to fix up his teeth later. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back for Coalossal. For every bounty that Coalossal provides, it takes away. You know, there's a lot of different Pokemon I've never drawn in my life. I've never put the effort to draw them. Because I never felt like drawing them, or I kind of felt that maybe they were too hard to draw. But Coalossal is another beast altogether. He truly is an Ultra Beast. The real Ultra Beast was the friends I made along the way. Man, poor Mr. Bean. I'm really bummed out about my Mr. Bean. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Because I think it's safe to say that the consensuses that I've made for Coalossal have been the right choices. I think I am doing the right thing by Coalossal. But I'm also... And he's not, and Mr. Bean isn't even reacting to it. I mean, I could move his eyes a bit and have him be more like, ooh. I'm pretty sure Mr. Bean has said like one word in a short, but I don't remember what that one word was. Okay. So, the last thing I need to figure out before I call it a day, which even then, time kind of flew by as soon as I started talking about Coalossal. As soon as I started finally working on the behemoth, the monster, the... Just this. Drawing Colossal really is the getting over it of Bennett Foddy of drawings. Well, alright. The only reason that's probably not a fair, true comparison is that uh, there would be a chance that I'd have to completely start over from scratch, which would undoubtedly be frustrating. Okay, let's. Alright, I gotta get a sense for Colossal's head. So, at the very far on the model on the right, that's straight from the video game. He has what kind of looks like a joint for his mouth that kind of makes him look like one of those dumpster lids, I guess. It just sort of it has wheels and it just folds open. He kind of looks like he has something like that. It's a little too round. I wonder if I should erase Colossal's hand over the Mr. Bean nameplate. No, not now, but like in the final, it's like just accept the fact that Coalossal has completely taken over Mr. Bean. Actually, you know what? I might be able to save Mr. Bean if I just take the version of the drawing as is and move everything slightly towards the left. Not enough to cut off his right, that's on the left page, the right shoulder, but enough to give Mr. Bean just a little tiny bit more breathing room. Let's see how that looks. Select I did this earlier. No. I want to merge link. I just want to. Well, maybe this will work just fine. Okay. Okay, good. Alright. Okay. I'll leave it like, uh, as far as moving Coalossal is concerned. I haven't moved him much, and when I finish coloring Coalossal, I might move him further. Uh, but at least Mr. Bean has just a fraction more breathing room, which is all I really wanted. So, coal color 1 under layer 2. Oh, that's too big. Yeah, definitely having fewer lines to look at is is greatly like, oh, is my opacity not what 100? Oh, all right. Whoops, that's what's going on. Normal. Anyway, yeah, starting with the color, it's at least like I'm starting to get less distracted by all the individual lines I've given Carcoal Coalossal. But he actually right now he looks like very neatly uh he looks like he's a crayon drawing but neatly done. Yeah, I think so tall. Like now he's getting closer to ruining putting Yellow Diamond's portrait in danger, in peril. But it's cleaning up pretty nice. You know, considering. Still, what a monster. Hmm. I want to see if I can give... If there's a sense that I can give room to giving Coalossal a glowing mouth. Maybe? It'd have to be like a... Basically the... kind of jack-o'-lantern grin. Mostly it'd be faded out. Hmm. Just giving some, I'll be, once I have, the rocks more defined, the coals, I guess. The coals more defined, I'll do something different with, these orange lines.